Alright guys, so tonight I just watched He Knows You're Alone on Amazon Prime. This is one of those slashers that I have wanted to see for a while because people always said it's the first film of Tom Hanks, and it's a horror movie that I don't feel like it gets praised, but I always notice people say, oh, Tom Hanks was in it, it's his first film. And that alone I thought was an interesting choice or an interesting reason to watch this, but the movie itself, watching He Knows You're Alone, which I'm a giant slasher fan, and there's a lot I haven't seen, especially from the 80s, and I really want to find, even if they're bad, I will still, there are so many I want to see because there were so many churned out quickly in the 80s. So I decided to watch this one, which I really liked the poster for it, and I liked how the plot sounded very cool for a slasher movie. About how it's a wedding slasher where it's this killer killing off brides to be, and that's really cool. I actually think that's a really cool idea. So the idea and concept is cool for me, but yeah, this fell really flat overall, but the concept I thought was cool. I didn't mind the opening though, where this opening is literally almost the exact same thing as Scream 2. So Wes Craven copied this opening to Scream 2, where it is in a movie theater, and it has two girls instead of a couple. And they are watching a horror movie, and this girl goes down into the bathroom, and she thinks she's being watched in the bathroom, and like she goes back into the theater with the other girl that she's friends with, and immediately this guy sits behind her and stabs her through the seat, and she just makes a screaming noise like she's scared of the movie, but she just dies right there. And it's not exactly the same as Scream 2, but I thought it was so funny how similar these two openings were. Because I've rarely seen opening kills in a movie theater, in a slasher movie, besides like Scream 2 and now this. But I didn't mind the opening, I thought it was fun. I thought that was a cool way to open it. And the score can be cool and effective sometimes, but then sometimes it can be really goofy in a way where it didn't resonate with me. Like, there's a lot of slashers that have really goofy music that I can enjoy, but this one I felt like didn't work in terms of the goofy score or unintentionally funny score. Now this movie, there was a video I watched in the Halloween franchise, and somebody brought up this movie, and that's another reason why I wanted to see this after that, is because this big video I watched on YouTube about the history of Halloween, like the first part of it, this YouTuber, I forgot what his name is, but he did like an in-depth analysis and review on every single one of the Halloween movies up to Halloween 6. And he was talking about the original Halloween and how He Knows You're Alone is basically a remake to Halloween. And watching this, there are elements that I agree with on that. This has so many nods to Halloween in terms of the killer. The killer doesn't wear a mask in this movie, which I thought was cool. But there are so many nods to Halloween that are absolute rip-offs. Like, it's kind of sad watching the killer and how the killer is positioned on screen is literally almost shot for shot the same in the first Halloween, where Michael Myers is standing in locations. Like, for example, the main character looks outside. Michael Myers, or that guy standing just like Michael Myers outside, except for he's not between like sheets flowing in the wind. He's just standing there, but in the same position. And there's a scene where the main character walks down a very similar looking street to what they did in the first movie. And then there's even a shoulder shot of the killer just standing there, not breathing hard, but just standing there for a second. And then there's also a moment where like the killer is looking through the window at a character, and then he immediately disappears. And it, again, the way that the killer is positioned in this movie is literally just like Halloween, the original. And this is insane, and how really kind of pathetic they really just cribbed on that movie. Like, they wanted to make that movie so bad, I feel like, or they wanted to replicate that in terms of like the killer and how the killer walks and just is positioned on camera. I thought that was a really funny, noticeable thing, that like they really tried to rip off Halloween. But I'm not gonna, I don't know, it's like a lot of slashers do that. They rip off other horror movies, but this one was very blatant in just how the killer was positioned on camera. It's worth it to just I hope online somewhere there's some like comparison where like you look up the images to this and Halloween with the killer versus Michael Myers, because it's literally the same shots. That's really bad. And some of the shots with the killer and the stinger are good sometimes. And the killer, since the killer doesn't wear a mask, the killer looks so much like Norman Bates, like Anthony Perkins. Like, seriously, like, it's distracting. Like, I look at this guy and I'm like, is that Norman Bates? Because he looks just like him. It was surprising how similar this guy looked to Norman Bates. He had that kind of look that Anthony Perkins gives, that creepy look, like he just stares at somebody. And if I didn't know it was somebody else, at first glance, I would have thought that was Anthony Perkins in this movie. Now I want to talk about the thing that people have mentioned to me, like, oh, this is Tom Hanks' first movie. And Tom Hanks is this one character who isn't killed, who is brought into the movie halfway through, is in the movie for 10 minutes, and is gone from the movie. There's literally nothing there's not even a point to him being in this movie. I mean, I'm glad he was, because then we got Tom Hanks in every other thing that Tom Hanks has ever done, but still, it's really weird that, like, this character is brought in, and the only reason I think he's brought in is because he talks to the main character about, are you sure you saw, like, that guy again? Because the killer keeps stalking the main character who's getting married. And Tom Hanks' character Elliot is like, so are you sure that you saw her? And they have saw him, and they have a conversation about that. And they go and ride rides at the carnival with her friend, and Elliot. So, but then after that, he's just gone. Like, I don't get the point of him, not Tom Hanks, but I just don't get the point of this character. He's literally in it for 10 minutes. He does not get killed. He doesn't have anything to do with the plot besides saying a line, like, about the main girl seeing the killer there watching her. And that's it. And he's just gone from the movie. That, like, I thought for some reason, like, before I saw this, like, he would have been the killer or something, because I heard that he only had like 10 minutes of screen time. In that same video I was talking about with Halloween, that person saying he knows you're alone, it's a ripoff of Halloween. That guy mentioned too how Tom Hanks is in it for like 10 minutes. And I would have thought that meant he was the killer, but no, you see the killer immediately in this movie, so it's not Tom Hanks, but yeah, what's the point of his character? Like, he was literally, there was no reason for him to be in the movie. Nothing, like, he could have been taken out of the movie and cut easily, but this was made with padding in mind, like, obviously. So yeah, that Tom Hanks' first appearance in film was just a lame one. Like, that was a lame first appearance. Like, I feel kind of bad for him. But, I don't know, we got great things from him. He's a fantastic actor, so I'm glad that he started in this, even though it's a very pointless part in the movie. So yeah, and the killings in this, I want to mention the kills. They are really just off screen. There's, like, you really don't see much kills or gore. And that would work for something like Halloween, but this one, it just does not work the same way. I don't know if this happened right before Friday the 13th came out, because these both came out in 1980. But this did try to be more elegant, I guess you could say, in terms of, like, not showing the kills, kind of like the original Halloween did, or like Psycho. Like, it's one of those movies where, like, it's trying to be, like, not show much gore, it's more up to the imagination, but it's just not, it doesn't work that well for me. Like, it's just, like, if the gore was in it, it might have been a little more interesting in this one. But there really wasn't any gore. It was pretty bloodless. And because the movie wasn't great, it's not like Halloween, where I love the movie and I love how it's bloodless in Halloween. Like, I think that works incredibly well. But in this one, it's like, it just makes it even more bland and boring in this one. So yeah, He Knows You're Alone was a really weird slasher from the 80s that, like, I'm glad I saw it. I like to see all these 80s slashers just to see, because I really enjoy the genre of slashers, and I think that a lot of them are really fun. And even though I didn't really like this one that much, there were a couple things that I thought were fun, but for the most part, it was really forgettable. Like, it wasn't that great at all. Like, it was bad in a lot of aspects, but there were a couple okay things about it. But it really isn't that. Like, if you're not a hardcore slasher fan and want to see all the slashers, I don't think you'd. I don't feel like people would care for this one. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I feel like I only watch this because I'm a big slasher fan. If I wasn't a big slasher fan, I wouldn't have cared. Um, but yeah, this overall has a couple things about it, but it's really not that great at all. I really didn't like it at all. So. Besides a few moments. So, anyways, that's what I feel about He Knows You're Alone. Tell me down below in the comments what you guys think of this movie if you have seen it. And thank you guys so much for watching.